Test, test. Gotta get my microphone plugged in here. Okay, I think we're live. All right, guys. Hey, Zach again, newtutor.com, coming in making a video for you today, doing a live feed this time, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about a few news items I saw on the headlines today, over the last couple of days actually, and I said, I really want to make a video on one or two of these, and I said, you know what, I'll just put them all together and do a video. So that's what we're going to do. So the first one I saw this week was this one. It was German parents have no right to homeschool their kids. European rights court rules. This family has been in the news probably for the last, I don't know, a couple years. I guess for the last 5 or 6 years or so. About I don't know exactly, but I mean I think it says there it goes back to 2013. So it's been a while that this family has been going back and forth with the courts. And from what I understand, and I don't know all of this for sure, this is the wife, this is the husband over here, and I believe these two guys over here in the back are lawyers, and these are their 4 children. And they are, I assume, a more affluent family. They have money, and they travel abroad a lot, and they want the best education for their children, and they want to homeschool. And homeschooling is just not something that's done in Germany. And the German government does not want them to do this because they don't want it catching on. It gets me to thinking, a lot of people will post articles like this on Facebook or wherever, Twitter, and they'll say, see, this is what's coming to America. And I just disagree. I really disagree because the cat is already out of the bag when it comes to American homeschooling. So many people homeschooling. In fact, I remember years ago, I had gotten out of the Army and I was working a job, and there was a guy who worked at the job, and he was a complete atheist, devout atheist, didn't believe in the Bible at all, but he homeschooled his kids because he knew they were not getting the proper education that he wanted them to get in the public school system. And so he and his wife homeschooled their kids. And he was very adamant about it. He says, public schools just don't teach kids what they need to know when it comes to, reading, writing, arithmetic. And I totally agree. And so, religion had nothing to do at all with their choice to homeschool. And I don't know if this family, it doesn't really give you a lot of information here, if faith plays a part in the decision that this family is making to fight this. It did say that they moved abroad for a while and they taught their children while they traveled. My question is this, why did you come back to Germany? I mean, I have no idea. It says homeschooling is illegal in Germany, and the Strasbourg, France-based court noted it already upheld the law in previous decisions. So that should tell you a couple things right there, just that sentence right there, because it's illegal in Germany, and the Strasbourg, France-based court noted it had already been upheld that law. See, Europe is without borders at this point. It's all just the European Union. The courts are all under the European Union banner, and so you're fighting a losing battle there. When it comes to the U.S., though, I maintain that the cat is out of the bag. There are so many hundreds of thousands of people now who do this, probably millions. We're probably in the millions of homeschool kids. We're on families now who are in their second generation of homeschooling because it's gotten so popular. The homeschooling conferences that do occur, they're usually pretty well attended, and so there's no way there's no way an overriding authority is going to come down and just say, okay, United States homeschooling is illegal, because you're going to have just an absolute conniption on your hands. So you read through this, it's pretty sad, and it goes, after they attended school for the year 2013, 2014, they were again taken out of the system, and the European court said Hesse state education officials had filed a criminal complaint against the parents for again failing to comply with rules on compulsory school attendance. It's all just sad. Dirk Wunderlich said it's a disheartening day for our family in the statement from the ADF. After years of legal struggles, this is extremely frustrating for us and our children. I know many of you in my audience homeschool your kids. We homeschool my kids. There's no way I would do anything different. And the public schools, at least in my area, probably in yours too, are always complaining that they don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. And they really would love to get the homeschool kids into their system because that means more federal dollars. It's just not going to happen. The school systems have all but collapsed, in my opinion, the public school system in America. My question for these families is, why did you come back? You should, and I don't even know if they at this point would be allowed to leave Germany. I don't know if it would be. For me, I'd be like under cover of darkness, trying to get my family out of Germany. I mean, it seems like I'm in a 1940s movie. I don't know, but anyway, so that was the first article I saw this week, and it's just crazy. But I did see a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is coming to America." No, it's not. No, because and I think there are homeschool networks and homeschool legal defense funds and associations you can join. I highly encourage you to do that. I know a number of my friends are too, so you should check into those, and maybe consider joining them if you can. Okay, second article. Moving on. United Methodists face vote on LGBTQ issues. Will it rip the church apart? ? So this has been coming for some time. The United Methodist Church is amongst the more of the liberal churches in some aspects of the evangelical community. And so this I've seen, and eventually it's going to get to the Southern Baptist Convention. They're going to have to deal with this too. So, and they already are dealing with it. There are very, very, very liberal leaders. There's a lot of liberal leaders in the Southern Baptist Convention, so it's only a matter of time before this really comes to a head and rips apart the Southern Baptist Convention. So what I see with this is the wheat and the chaff. I mean, that's what I see with this. Let's read the article. It says, Colleyville, Texas, on a Tuesday in January, Pastor Katie Lewis was surprised to have even 26 members of the United Methodist Church of Colleyville attend her study group on human sexuality and same-sex marriage. In a group of mostly middle-aged white congregants, opinions raged widely. One man said he felt pressure to accept LGBTQ clergy and same-sex marriage from more liberal members of the East and West Coast. Others quickly disputed that idea, saying the issue is a concern in Colleyville as well. Whether you know it or not, someone in your life is struggling to be accepted for who they are, one woman told the group. Lewis said she felt the conversation was necessary ahead of the United Methodist General Conference this month in St. Louis. The conference meets every 4 years, but a special session was called to a vote on a plan regarding same-sex marriage and the acceptance of LGBTQ clergy in the church. The United Methodist Church faces possibility of a schism because of the vote. It's inevitable that people will leave the church because of how polarizing the issue is, according to congregants, clergy, and experts. I guarantee, is that what that guy said in Louisiana? I guarantee. It's also possible entire congregations could leave the denomination. Again, I guarantee that's going to happen. Absolutely, it is going to happen. The United Methodists represent the second largest Protestant denomination in the United States, behind churches that are part of the, Southern Baptist Convention. Lewis leads discussion using the Bible and the Book of Discipline, which is regarded as the law and doctrine of the United Methodist Church. So right there, okay. She encourages attendees to think about how their life experiences have shaped their opinions and interpretations. Oh my goodness gracious. It's just painful. Okay, so Lewis leads discussion using the Bible, and the Book of Discipline. That's the Book of Discipline. And so the Book of Discipline is regarded as the law and doctrine of the United Methodist Church. What did Moses say? You shall not add nor take away. You shall not add nor take away. Well, I mean, every denomination is guilty of this, folks. I mean, the Southern Baptist Convention, just like everybody else. The Mormons have the Book of Mormon. The Methodists have the Book of Discipline. Seventh-day Adventists have Ellen G. White. I mean, they've all added to and taken away. Ellen G. White says you shouldn't drink apple juice because it may ferment and may get you drunk. I mean, again, do not add or take away. So every denomination is guilty of this right here, of adding and taking away. The Book of Discipline. It says there's a lot of lack of understanding about Scripture and knowledge and experience. Lewis said the study is called Living Faithfully, and my hope for our United Methodist Church is that whatever happens in February, love would be at the core. Oh, love wins. Oh, what's that guy's name? Rob Bell. Yeah, love wins. After the 2016 General Conference, the Commission on a Way Forward was appointed to study. I wonder if love's going to win when in Revelation the Messiah comes back and there's blood up to the bridles of the horse. I'm just saying, love may not win that day. I'm just saying. Okay, Actually, love will win that day. Actually, after 2016 General Conference, the Commission on a Way Forward was appointed to study Scripture and come up with plans addressing sexuality in the United Methodist churches around the world. The Commission's report notes that the church was founded in 1968, but the present-day language about human sexuality was added to the Book of Discipline in 1972. It's totally outdated, obviously, because it hasn't kept up with the times. I mean, if it was written in 1972, we absolutely need to update it. The Book of Discipline is updated and published after every general conference. Of the three most prominent plans, the Council of Bishops recommends the One Church plan, which will allow churches and pastors to make decisions based on their specific congregations and conferences. So, yeah, you can basically go by the seat of your pants. You can make changes however you wish. Without reading this whole thing, there's something down at I think it's at the end. Oh, no, that was the other article. Anyway, this goes on for a while. Here's the bottom line, folks. You probably, like me, have Methodist friends, people who are part of the Wesleyan community. And so, because John Wesley, if you don't know, John Wesley was the founder of the Methodist Church, basically. And so you probably have friends who, like me, I have friends who are part of the United Methodist, Church. And, some of them are very much conservative, and there are a lot of them who are very much liberal when on the political spectrum of things. And LGBTQ issues and sexual orientation, gender identity issues are very much a political issue today, okay? So there's going to be a split. There's going to be a split. There's going to be people who are like, absolutely not. This is absolutely against the Bible. I can read the Bible. I can see what it says. This is not allowed. And for you to make concessions is to ignore parts of the Bible. There will be people in the United Methodist Church who will say that and who will stand firm on that conviction. And then there are people who are like, oh, come on, love wins. Rob Bell. Haven't you seen Rob Bell? And then they're gonna go along with it. And there will absolutely be a split. And if they do not, like, let's just say, for instance, in the convention coming up in St. Louis this year, what is it? What day is it going to be? This month in St. Louis, right there. United Methodist General Conference this month. Let's just say they table the discussion. Inside of these denominations, you have warring factions, just like you have in, any political party. You have warring factions, and, each faction wants control. There's a faction of very much liberals who want to, allow LGBTQ clergy and, be open to gender identity politics and all this stuff. And if it gets tabled, which it may, because they know it's a very, it could have the effect of completely destroying the United Methodist Church. There are people inside of all of these denominations who are like, you know what, this is too hard of a topic right now. Let's just table it until we can pass it on a later time when it won't get so much news coverage. And people aren't paying attention. Maybe there'll be something else to take their attention away from this. So they'll either table it strategically, or if they do pass it, again, there will be a split. A lot of splits, multiple splits, probably. And again, this is coming to the Southern Baptist Convention, which is I would say, arguably the largest and more conservative of the evangelical community in America. That's just my opinion. You may not agree with me on that, but I consider the Southern Baptist Convention to be the more conservative of the evangelical community when it comes to denominations. Now, I know for a fact. I was best friends growing up, in high school with a guy whose father was the president of the Missouri Southern Baptist Convention. And so that was his father. And they were very liberal. They were very left. They, voted Democrat all the time, and, pro-abortion, pro-homosexual, all this stuff. And these are people in leadership and within the Southern Baptist Convention. And there are people like that there, and they're pushing for this, and they're pushing for it and pushing for it. Again, bottom line, it comes down to wheat and chaff. It's wheat and chaff. And this is what we're seeing. You're seeing, I believe we're in the last days. If you believe we're in the last days like I do, you're seeing a separation of the wheat and the chaff. And it's the chaff's getting whisked up and blown in the wind, and the wheat will stay behind. And they'll stand on the word. And while I don't think, obviously, United Methodists I don't agree with a lot of their doctrine, even some of the more conservative in that denomination. There are some things we very much agree on, and I would be an ally with them on, especially when it comes to this. And I was one time, at one point in my life, I was a pork eating, Christmas celebrating, eater of chocolate rabbits. That's what I was. And then one day I read the Bible, and I'm not that way anymore. But I was at one point the same way some of these other people are. So I can't bash them for not knowing some of the other things of Scripture. What I do know is that some of them are adamant that sin is still sin, and support those who stand up for what is right, even if they don't have everything right. Not saying I have everything right, I don't. But when you see someone standing up for what is right, the worst thing you could do is say, well, you're not keeping Sabbath right, moron. Okay? Makes sense. Next article, let's move on. Nancy Pelosi keeps quoting her favorite Bible verse. The mystery, it's not actually in the Bible. So this has been going on, too, for a couple years, but it was reported again today, February 4th, 2019, at 5:50 a.m. Someone got up early. Ruth Graham. Wait. Ruth, it must be a different Ruth Graham, because Ruth Graham, I think, passed away. So can't be. I don't know if it's related to Billy Graham or not. But anyway, Nancy Pelosi keeps quoting her favorite Bible verse, the mystery. It's not actually in the Bible. So this reads like this: Nancy Pelosi addressed a gathering of presidents of Christian colleges this week in Washington. How she did not walk in and just burst into flames, I have no idea. Where she thanked the evangelical community for its leadership on immigration and refugee policy reform. Never mind its leadership on life issues when it comes to babies. To this end, the Speaker of the House quoted a favorite bit of biblical wisdom in her opening statement. To minister to the needs of God's creation is an act of worship. To ignore those needs is to dishonor the God who made us. And who made babies. I'm just saying. I know. Okay, actually, she said, it might not technically be from the Bible, she admits. I can't find it in the Bible. She probably doesn't even own one. But I quote it all the time, Pelosi said as she introduced the quote. I keep reading. She admitted that to an audience. She gets up and says, well, to an audience of presidents of Christian colleges. Well, what I'm about to tell you might not technically be from the Bible. I can't find it in the Bible, but I quote it all the time. I really believe this woman has lost her marbles. I seriously think she is on the verge of dementia. If you've ever heard her speak, you can't listen to her speak and not think she's on the verge of dementia. I'm just saying. Pelosi said as she introduced the quote, I keep reading and reading the Bible. I keep reading and reading the Bible. I know it's there someplace. It's supposed to be in Isaiah. I heard a bishop say, to minister to the needs of God, blah, blah, blah. To clarify, it is not there someplace, Ruth Graham says in the article. The Pelosi passage is not in the Bible. Will Keynes, an associate professor of the Hebrew Bible Old Testament at Whitworth University, told me by email. The closest analog he could find was Proverbs 14:31, which switches the order of the two main ideas and focuses specifically on the poor. Those who oppress the poor insult their maker, but those who are kind to the needy honor him. Greg McGee, an associate professor of biblical studies at Taylor University, independently suggested the same verse as the closest approximation of the sentiment of Pelosi's version. Pelosi got one thing right. She usually never does, but okay, she does in fact quote it all the time. The earliest example I found comes from the Congressional Record in 2002 in a speech honoring a prominent Catholic priest in San Francisco who had recently died. The Bible tells us that to minister to the needs of God's creation is an act of worship. She said to the House floor to ignore those needs and to dishonor God who made us. So between 2002 and 2018, the quote appears 12 times in the Congressional Record, with Pelosi responsible for all but for one of the entries. The other time, Texas Republican Louis Gohmert was quoting Pelosi. So needless to say, she is quoting this all the time, and she thinks it's in the Bible. She reads the Bible, but she can't find it. She thinks it's somewhere in Isaiah, but she can't find it. So this was the article where I had something at the end I wanted to talk about. I'll read the last two paragraphs. Pelosi has faced surprisingly little pushback over the years for her repeated citation of a non-existent Bible verse. There was a flurry of harumphing on conservative websites in 2008 after one site called around to some Bible scholars to confirm that the line didn't come from the Bible, but she kept on using it. Imagine that. And there's been little objection from the left or the right in the decade since. That may be because of the fact that politicians mangle quotes and their sources constantly. And Pelosi's hemming and hawing in her speech this week suggests that she's aware by now that she has it wrong. As for the actual source material, it remains a mystery for now. An inquiring phone call to Pelosi's office on Thursday was not returned. Big surprise. The entire internet contains 0 examples of the line apart from its many uses by the Speaker of the House. If a bishop, quote unquote, is responsible for it, as she suggested this week, he or she has not put it in writing in a location accessible to search engines. That's a pretty good indication it doesn't exist. If anyone reading this has any leads on the origins of the quote, I hope you will share your insight with those of us who are curious. After all, to minister to the needs of God's creation is an act of worship. To ignore those needs is to dishonor the God who made us. Good grief. Interesting article. But yeah, this woman, I mean, people just buy hook, line, and sinker what she says. You know, and she's a practicing Catholic who supports killing babies outside the womb. I mean, devil. Okay, moving on. I've talked about this on my Facebook page before. Killer 5G warning. Expert warns super fast broadband could cause cancer in humans. And super fast broadband could be global catastrophe, kill wildlife, give people terminal diseases, and cause the Earth's magnetic field to change, according to shock claims by a technology expert. I don't know about all the claims about 5G. I think there is plenty of evidence out there, and I think this article goes into all of the different articles and peer-reviewed science that is now out there speaking to the possible damage that 5G could cause. And so, again, one of the reasons I tell people, get out of the city, get out of the city, get out of the city. You just need to get out of the city. Where was that part I saw here? Okay, despite widespread denial, this is the part you guys, new naysayers out there, need to pay attention to. Despite widespread denial, the evidence that radio frequency RF radiation is harmful to life is already overwhelming. The accumulated clinical evidence of sick and injured human beings, experimental evidence of damage to DNA, cells, and organ systems in a wide variety of plants and animals, and epidemiological evidence. How do you say epidemiological? There's some words. Evidence that the major diseases of modern civilization, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, are in large part caused by electromagnetic pollution, forms a literature base of well over 10,000 peer-reviewed studies. 10,000 peer-reviewed studies. But many mainstream scientists dismiss the claims, and there's no conclusive proof of cancer-causing radiation from phones. Listen, guys. I think, you know, I'm always looking at things, right? Because our Messiah, you know, in the book of Mark, he says to watch. He says, what I tell you to you, I tell to all. Watch. When talking about, and I think it's Mark chapter 13, talking about the end of days. Okay? It's the last days, and at the very end of the chapter, he says to watch. Well, it's impossible to watch without speculating about what it is you're watching. And will this 5G and all of this technology play a part in our last days? I don't know. I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying that, you know, the Messiah said to watch. And as I'm watching, I'm looking at this, and it's scary. I really think it's scary. So, yeah. 5G, do your own research. You can read the whole article. But we're going to see, I'm telling you right now, we're going to see more of this coming soon in the headlines. This was posted on the front page of Drudge Report, so I would call that mainstream news. When it gets posted on Drudge, you keep looking out for this stuff, because there's going to be more coming out about it. All right, guys, that's about it. I'm going to let you guys go. That's all my news articles that I wanted to share tonight. And, yeah. Hey, listen, guys, if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so that YouTube will notify you. They probably won't anyway. But they'll notify you when I put out new material, so you'll be the first to see it. And if I do go live, like I'm going live tonight, they should let you know about it. All right, guys, go home. Read your Bible. Thanks.